Hi, Black Pepper Magazine. My name is David Quarles, and I am an interior designer and interior influencer here in Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah, well, I think that, and as far as like what interior design has taught me about colors, so starting out and especially within my studies, one of my favorite classes was color psychology. And so I got a chance to learn like what colors, according to the season, according to what mood you're trying to exude, as well as the shifts in the light. So like where the sun rises and sets in your home, then that helps you with the color usage or determining the color usage that you have. And so one thing that I like to pinpoint is basically, or well, primarily the emotions that are evoked by colors. And so like staying within the blues for a lot more calm, or if you're more excitable or want to feel more excited, for instance, in like, hey, maybe you need to wake up in a very positive mood in your bedroom. So maybe having like hues such as like yellows and warmer colors like that to make it feel like a warm, exciting hug in the morning. So that's what I love the most. And so being able to not necessarily, I would say, influence your emotions based upon the colors that you use in your home. And so that's definitely one of the main things that interior design has taught me about color, but as well, it's almost innate because you know how color makes you feel. It's just determining which one to use. Oh, shoot, and I should have been prepared because I should have been sitting in that chair. No, so it is actually one of the Ankara fabrics, and so it is the one that has like the disc motif. And so that one for me is a lot more reminiscent of, and especially being part of the diaspora, but it being my connection to my African heritage. And so, and like doing a little bit, even though I'm like 5 generations displaced a little bit, but still, I mean, it's apparent. Did do like the research, and it's nice because, or did like in-depth DNA testing. And so my African bloodline does go right back to Nigeria, and specifically the Igbo people. And so it's able to break it down. And so if I can get like one more notch, but it is just endearing to me that I can have representation in my home and show it proudly, and that other brands are, and this is a Black owned company as well. And so it's not like a brand trying to capitalize upon someone else's culture. However, it is them being excited of sharing their culture as well, because that's the same story that I had is what the owner of Albany Park, that's why he made the collection, because he found out exactly where he came from as far as his African heritage, and was like, well, what better way to pay homage to it than to create my brand around it? So I love it. Basically, the family is Dominican, Creole, Irish, and Liberian on my dad's side. And so then that's the whole mix on that side. And then for my mom, she's Indigenous American, African American, and white. I like to honestly retreat to my home. I feel bad. And it's like, oh, nope, it's not. There's too much going on outside. You know what? It's safe inside. But no, what I like to do, and that's why I like to create such happy themes, like as far as color themes in my home, that's kind of one of the main reasons, because I started really redoing my home during the pandemic, because one, I had time, or during quarantine, because we're still in one. I had the time, and I finally could let all of my imagination out, and I knew how I wanted my home to feel, like an oasis. Like I think in several posts, that's something that I post, like Oasis 4, or like Oasis this and that around my house. But that's what I want to feel, because ultimately, our homes are our safest spaces that we have, and that's the goal that I want all of my clients to have. And so with that, when things do seem a little chaotic outside, at least we're able to retreat and recharge in our homes and feel safe while doing it. So I make sure like I have my plants like all around right now. And I have things that remind me of my happiness and encourage it, so that when I do have those rough days, then all I have to do is look around my home and be like, it's going to be all right. Just try again tomorrow. So. Ooh, that's a good question. Yellow is my favorite color. I think when I was little, it had always been one of my favorite colors. And I like that too, that my parents did not encourage that, you know, like, because I'm a male, my favorite color had to be this. Because my dad's favorite color is blue, but he also enjoys like different colors. And so my mom's favorite color actually is yellow. And so that was always our connection. We have like a connection with the love of the moon and different things like that. But no, I feel that it is one that evokes the most happiness. It's the color of the sun. I feel like I'm very much a sun kid, even though I love the moon. And for me as well, yellow is, so I have synesthesia or chromesthesia specifically. And so different, well, numbers, sometimes days and music have an effect to where I process all of those factors as color rather than the experience for what it is. So for instance, numbers, whenever someone would spit a number out to me, I see a color. Whenever someone plays a song, it's like I'm in a tunnel full of colors, and specific day is a specific color to me. So yellow, I was born on, and I know that this is a long answer for it, sorry, but I was born on a Friday, which for me mentally is yellow. And it's August 4th. 4 for me is also yellow. And it just feels like whenever I'm thinking in my head, and like, I guess the scenery that kind of plays, because I think we all have like that mental safe spot. I'm seeing the light glares from the sun. Everything is yellow and like kind of amber colored. And so that just explains who I am from outside in. And so yellow has always been my favorite color. So plants for me, and that's also a connection that I have with my mom, because like if you look at the house that I grew up in, as well as like going to visit my parents' house now, there is a jungle room, and then throughout the house there are a lot more plants. And so I grew up with it. I grew up always seeing plants. I grew up helping my mom take care of them, even though I really wasn't doing anything. So she was like, go and water that over there. It didn't have water in that little thing. But anyway, so she let me pretend. But no, so it's a connection with that, and I think culturally too, and especially speaking with our African heritage, and then with mine being Caribbean heritage as well. Like when you look around, there's nothing but lush green. That for me is another thing that adds to my happiness. It's like on those cold winter days here, specifically in Memphis, where everything just turns brown, all I have to do is look around my house and be like, you're in a tropical place. It is all right. Don't worry about it. In about 3 to 4 months, everything is going to be green again, or if you just go and leave. And so I think that's why during the pandemic or during quarantine, I acquired a lot more plants, because travel wasn't a thing. But mentally, I was still like, I'm going back to the Dominican Republic, or I'm going to go somewhere in the Caribbean, and it made me feel connected. And so now, 217 plants later, here we are. So I love them. They remind me of my happiness. I don't know. I like using all of the colors, like period. But I'm thinking and just like looking at, because we're in my design studio right now. And so this pretty much what's going on right here is kind of like my go-to color scheme. So it will be two cools and then warm. And so it's kind of like, and let me see. I might be more prepared than I think. There we go. So this, and if there were a green, but I always use something that helps to, well, this is kind of like a green, but I always use something that grounds. So these will be my neutrals, of course. And then, of course, my favorite color, but then it would be a green and a blue that would complete this. So it would be yellow, orange, green, blue, with these being my two neutrals. And that's kind of like my go-to color scheme. And it's just easiest because you can always deviate by going through the secondary and I guess tertiary. This is where I get like, become a color nerd. But no, I feel that you can go so much within the secondary and tertiary colors to where you will always end up in a happy color scheme regardless. And so this is usually my go-to, like my base. And then if I ever need to, like if it were on the color wheel, just tweak it a little bit, and then I would still end up with a whole bunch of colors that I love. If it's going to be for me, and well, no, for my clients as well, one of my favorite questions is to ask, what do you want to feel when you're in this space? And so my thing is, yes, the aesthetics, like, yes, how a room looks, that's great. But I need to know what your function is, like, how do you plan on using this room? But ultimately, what is the feeling that you want to have as soon as you cross the threshold? And one of my favorite things is to have my clients curate a playlist for the space. And so since, again, I do have a big connection with color and with music, that helps me communicate the colors. So based upon their song selection, it helps me communicate the colors that I will put into the space. And then it also helps them get the overall mood in the space. And so that helps communicate as well, especially if they don't know the words to use. Then based upon their songs and like the lyrics of the songs, I'm able to translate that into a design. Ooh, so this one is like a little spicy question, but I feel because I think that a lot of people kind of get that intersected. But for me, basically interior decorating is, or let's go back. Interior design is the science behind design. Interior decorating is what makes it beautiful, I will say. And so, but it kind of goes hand in hand, but it's very much different because I will say like with interior design, what I have to do, it's more of like figuring out why is this not going to work because this is a load bearing wall, or why is this not going to work based upon the material? Like, is there, you really go into the science of it. Like, is there a certain allergy that is tied to this fabric? Then that's when we go into the color psychology as well. So it's kind of like we are the heart surgeons, and then the interior decorators, which we do play a role in that as well, are the plastic surgeons. So making sure that we make sure that the inside works, which I think maybe the architects are brain surgeons. So brain surgeons, we're the heart surgeons, and then the decorators are the plastic surgeons, just to make sure that everything works. So everyone plays their role, but there is a little bit more science and the why that is on the design side of things. Okay, so this is basically Zara, and I did it because I knew that I needed to get I needed to get ready quickly, and it's all one set, so it goes together, but I chose it as well because it's pretty sunny out right now. So basically, if it is going to be cloudy, I'll dress in brighter colors, but if it's already sunny out, then I'll dress in a pattern that kind of matches the mood of the day. And I woke up listening to disco for some reason, I don't know, and so this felt like it, and it was, of course, 70s, and it's kind of like a 70s print with a nod to African heritage, and so wanted to do that. So it's leaves, basically, it's a leaf motif, and I just picked out the white that's here in between all of the leaves, and I was like, well, I have white glasses, so of course it's gonna work. And pearls for that very same reason, and I like to do some rough and fine, and so that's why like this may be a rougher material, but mixing it with like the fine of the gold. And these necklaces I never take off, it's just a nameplate, so my name, I never take that off. And then the rings I never really take off unless it's me washing my hands or working out, but these always stay on. So, even sleep sometimes. I'll have mofongo, which is a plantain-based food, Dominican Republic and the Caribbean. That might be like imprinted on my face from whenever I go to sleep, but no, that's the rundown. So it's usually, I'll pick either a pattern or a color based upon what the weather is and what emotion I'm wanting to feel during the day. And then my glasses kind of follow suit. Yeah. Well, good. Yeah. I'm glad that translates to my Instagram, because that's honestly, so that same like mental space that I'm in, that I described, like as far as why yellow is my favorite color, that's also kind of the music that I hear. Basically, it is me. It is sunny day. The glare from the sun is showing. It is an amber colored vision, and I'm running through a field and disco is playing. Why? I do not know, but sometimes I guess, and if, you know, like you can assume if someone asks me a question, I'm kind of like off in a zone. That's where I am mentally. But I also, my parents are older, so they had me at a later age, and my dad is a musician. And so a lot of the music that we would listen to was from the 70s era. So anything from like Jimi Hendrix, but it also translated into like the Spanish music as well. So then if Celia Cruz, and so basically any genre of music where there was an afro that was worn, that like the polyester and everything, that's the music that I grew up on. And so that's just where I feel the most comfortable. And I feel that even now, some of the best songs that are made currently already have those samples of the 70s music. So that's just, it's what I feel inside. If someone were like to open my brain, it would probably be like what a disco sounds like, a disco club, like long time ago. And then you go in and that's what it is. So that's why. On the inside is disco. Let's see. Does it have to be this era or
Doesn't matter.
So far, one that cannot get, and I do have my phone right here, one that I cannot get out of my head. So, okay, well, I will say two. And so I think one that we pretty much know right now, and it is Virgo's Groove by Beyonce. Can't get that one out of my head. It probably has played over 150 times within the weekend. And then I will say another one that I love really dancing to right now, and it is Huku. And let me make sure that my phone is turned down so that it won't play. But the artist is Sho Majosi. So I'm a piano artist, so South African artist, yes. And so I don't know. It is playing in my head all day long, and I'm just like dancing to it. I'm like, David, you're in a business meeting, calm down. And so yeah. So yeah, those are the songs that are in my head right now. Free, hopeful, and joyous. Ooh, I guess a more insightful one, and then I will say one that it makes me laugh. But love everyone, treat everyone as you want to be treated, because you don't know at what stage a certain person is in life, and you want to make sure that the impact that you have on them makes them want to continue loving themselves and loving the life that they live. In all of my treatment, I will say with just how I like to deal with someone, even if you just approach me off the street, or that's what I want to make sure that your interaction with me, if you were having a bad day, you're not anymore. Like, that's it. So anything that if I need to exude a little bit extra energy, I want to make sure that if you were, I don't know, on your way to kick in somebody's door, you're like, you know what? Today is a good day. I don't need to do that. I just met David and he said no. With his actions, like, he was just like, no. Like, I want to make sure that I change the course if someone is having a bad day in just any of my treatment period. I want to make sure that I change the course if they're having a bad day, that it's good. Experience, outlook, anything like that. So, yeah, that's what they talk. Ooh, towards someone else or for yourself?
In general.
Oh, love or, that's such a broad yet pinpointed question. I think for me, love means accepting what you can't change and celebrating things as they are. So if you're going to apply it to a person, if you love them, you're not trying to change them, because you can't change a person as they are. That's it. And so with that, you celebrate the person they are. And you celebrate them with how you show your affection. You celebrate them with how you greet them. You celebrate them with how you show the love. So for me, yeah, it's, accepting what you can't change and celebrating things as they are and loving them from there. That very sentiment, how I was able to make someone feel. So my whole goal in creating, whether it is through, like social media, when I do my Mocktail Mondays, when I do my home transformations, when I do the outfit changes, I want to make sure that if it were my last day on earth, the last memory that someone had of me was, you know what, he made me feel good, and whether it's on a personal thing or if they saw me on social media, that I smiled because I got a chance to experience his energy. And I want someone to always feel joyous and empowered in themselves. And so that's my whole reason why I create. Oh my God, yeah, this was so good. You made me think. So I like that. You made me think a lot. So I love this.